Hi. Hi everybody, this is Gail over at the Fun Home Network, and today I'm actually going to show you how to do Crackle. So this particular one is a navy base and then white on the top, and I wanted to show you all that these have smaller cracks, but these are actually much larger cracks. And you achieve that by the thickness of the Crackle medium that you put on. And the Crackle medium that we're going to use is good old school glue. And I just want to say that it really doesn't matter which brand you use. Either will work. You can buy Crackle medium too, but I assure you I use this all the time and it's much less expensive to use glue. So in our plate I have my top coat, which will be white, and then I have glue, and then I have a tumbler. Now if you want, you can even just use the stainless. If you have a stainless tumbler, put the glue on and then put a top coat in the, it would be the steel, that the stainless color that would crackle through. Or if you want to, you can spray paint or use acrylics and change the color. I did this gray, and this is actually acrylics, or any color. So basically this is the color. I'm going to put white as the top. The gray will show through on the lines. So I just use a brush, and I'm going to first show you what a thick layer is so that you can get the bigger crack. So this, one of the key secrets is that you try to do it in one fluid motion. It's not as important with the glue as it is with the top coat that you're going to put on. You cannot do this, come back, and do this. When we put the top coat on, it will have to be in one complete stroke that we're putting on. So this is actually a thick coat. I can still see the white of the glue, and then I'll show you. And so that will create larger cracks. So the other, to make smaller cracks, is actually more like this. It's like it's almost see-through. You can see it. So we will just continue to go around the cup. And again, the glue is not as important. You can go over this, but the top coat we will not keep going back and forth like this with. And you want to make sure, you can see because it's shiny, that you actually have glue on all the surfaces. So we're just gonna go around. And sometimes I do a little thin and a little thick so that I get varied. Okay, so we just want to let this actually, I don't want it to completely dry, but I'd like it to almost be see-through. So while I'm going to probably hit this with a heat gun here in a second, I wanted to show you all that this is actually stemware right here. Let me put my cup down. And you guys can see how it's crackled. I wanted to show you, see this right here? This is where I went over it more than once. This is what it'll look like. I did not go in one fluid motion. I was actually showing somebody and they did it, but I'll forgive them. And so I will epoxy over this, but this is just regular acrylic. So all I did was take a glass and base coated it in the green. I'm not that neat when I craft, so it gets sort of on the base, and all I then do while it's wet is take a paper towel and spin it around. If you wanted to cover the whole thing, you can. When I epoxy, it just is easier for me to epoxy from here up so that it doesn't show as much. So that's where I tend to go. So with that being said, all I do is start at the bottom, and I'm just going to apply the glue over the base coat. And it has to be completely dry. And when I do glassware, I tend to work on a bunch at a time, so it's usually 24 hours that I let it dry. But really and truly, just a couple of hours. Or if you hit it with a heat gun, it'll dry even faster. So I also, when people always ask me about the rim. When I epoxy, I actually stick Vaseline, chapstick, even lotion will work in the inside the rim right here. And it just helps that the epoxy doesn't stick. And then after I finish, I always just run a baby wipe on the inside to clean up, because sometimes you don't think there's anything in there, but there actually is some epoxy in there. So, And I'll clean up the edges and everything before, while my epoxy is still wet, so that it doesn't dry. Because on these glasses, there's a tiny little lip. And even though I've painted over it, what I'll do is get some acetone before I epoxy and just run it really carefully along the lip line right there, and it will remove all of that excess. Okay, so that's it. So we're going to let this one dry. And I'm actually going to, I like this particular brush because it's wide. So I'm just going to clean it off so I can use it on the cup. And I'm going to put the heat gun to my glue cup just to dry it a little bit. You guys have to, I warn against it if you're not used to it, because you can dry it too much. But if that happens, if you, for some reason, dry your cup more than it need be, and all your glue dries, you can simply dip it in water. This is, I have a cup of water right here. Dip your brush in water and go back over it, and it will reactivate the glue that's in there. All right, so I got all of that off. Let me hit this with a heat gun really fast. Oh, it helps if your heat gun is plugged in. So, let me plug the heat gun in. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's not completely dry. It's actually still got a lot of wet to it, but it's turning slightly clear. And I actually have a spot or two right here that I think is too dry, so I will do what I suggested and just wet it a little bit. Maybe go over it with just a little bit more glue. Okay. I try not to do that because sometimes it'll mess up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my brush, and I load it both sides with a decent amount of paint. And then I'm going to start down here, and like I said, you want one fluid motion. It's okay, whatever it looks like, because as it dries, it will start to crackle. And then, like I said, if I mess up, just keep going, like right here. Don't worry about that spot. The crackle will sort of blend. But I do tend to load my brush each and every time because I want to make sure I have enough paint to go all the way down the length of the cup. So I just want to show you guys, if I was to get right here and start seeing myself run out of paint, stop, get yourself some more paint, and then come next to it and keep going. Because you don't want to go back over that same spot that you were in. So again, one fluid motion. And like right here, I didn't get it completely. I'm okay with that too, because that's the look I'm going for. I'm going for that aged, cracked, weathered look. All right, we're almost around the entire cup. I need to let it be. All right, now I'm going to do, if this was the actual bottom, I'd just do the bottom then. But this is just a tiny little portion of the lip, the rim. All right. All right, that's it for that. And then you guys will see as it dries, it will start to crackle. So with that being said, I'm just going to set it down. I'm going to put some more white down, and we're going to do the actual wine glass so we have more than one thing to compare to. So here's the wine glass, and as you can see, it's still wet, but it's got a little clearness to it. So load my brush really good. Start down at the bottom, and I just go up to the top. Bottom to the top. I seal with epoxy. You guys can use triple thick or whatever, a clear seal. Epoxy is just much stronger bond and lasts a lot longer. It's not for the novice though, but it's really not hard once you get used to how epoxy is supposed to feel. And I'll start doing videos of me epoxying my cups. My problem is that too many people live in this house and somebody's always here watching TV. My craft room is being renovated. I should say my craft hole is being renovated. So I'm going to actually dry it a little bit to kind of speed the process up for us a little bit. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get the heat gun and bring it closer because I just wanted to show you guys just one pass of the heat gun and they already started crackling. So I think it would be neat for you all to see. Okay, so I have a heat gun, and all this is going to do is just speed up the drying process. So this thing gets really hot though, so you know, use caution if that's what you're gonna do. But I wanted you guys to see how the crackle appears. So I gotta turn it on. Okay. Every time I try to do something. Okay. So we'll hold it right here. Okay. So this has started drying and has started forming the cracks. And here's our cup also drying that has started forming the cracks. So as you can see, some are big, some are little, because I did it uneven. I'm actually going to hit it with the heat and see if I can get more. Alright, I won't do the entire thing. I just wanted to show you guys. My cup is actually smoking a little, so you got to be very careful when you do that. But I just wanted everybody to be able to see that once it dries is when the crackle will occur. And if for some reason you absolutely did not like this, you can put it under some soapy water and start over. You will probably take off your base coat if you didn't clear coat over that. But I've honestly never had one that I just hated and wanted it to come off. So I tell everybody, I actually will paint over this or apply a decal directly to this in epoxy. I don't seal. Some people do. I've never had an issue. If you're uncomfortable, seal it. You can seal it with clear spray, triple thick, whatever your choice is, even epoxy. I'm sorry, before you epoxy. I also tell everybody, if you're uncomfortable like painting or anything like that, it will help you to seal it first and then apply a decal, or to apply paint. That way, if for some reason you were to mess up, you wouldn't mess up your crackle finish. You could just wipe that off and start over. If you're going to put a decal on this, and a secret to, a little trick I should say, a lot of people, if they put a decal, say and they want to paint over it and then remove the decal, they will take off the paint. So a little step is that if you use a little bit of heat on the decal, it will tend to loosen the glue on the bottom, and it makes it much easier to peel. Nothing really will stick to it then. But I hope this helps someone. This particular one has been epoxied, so I'm going to actually put a decal on it. I just wanted to show you that this one's not, and it's okay to actually go straight to epoxy. I did not seal this one prior to epoxying over it. It just has one very thin layer of epoxy on it. All right, happy crafting, everybody. And if you want to subscribe to our group, I'll try to put the link in the comment section, but it's the Fun Home Network on Facebook. You guys can search us out. Join our group. We do all kinds of crafts there, DIY tutorials and things like that. Thanks.